Now, can you actually see it recording?
It's recording on the computer. So we have the Mohammed there and
I am getting new glasses too.
dearly beloved. Ashes to ashes. I don't know. I haven't gone to many funerals. So, salam alaikum. Sadiri. This is Dana. Glenn, Joel, and David. This is Muhammad, Dana, and this is another jeweler. These guys come to me with repair jobs that I don't want to do. So, I've been taking them to Dawn rather than bring them to you. But if you want to get something done that's specifically really good and your own sort of thoughts or whatever have you, Dana can actually. You'll pay through the nose for it, but you'll be walking away happy. I can guarantee you that.
And this is across from the Rockville Milk Road.
Oh, King's Wharf. High end stuff, man. How are you doing? Welcome.
You must be talking about school.
Awesome.
Mostly. It's hard to pay for rent and everything else.
There's more stuff here. Somebody was asking. The dress code.
You're only selling 4 months away.
Yeah, you did get some.
I'm quite happy.
Just.
I'm quite happy.
Yeah. Looking like that, okay.
I'm quite happy to look like
Nothing
that, so
production profit.
thank you for the card.
See that?
The daffodils are from Debbie's yard thing in Antigonish. They drove over with that.
Vote yourself.
And
Oh, yeah.
the it was one of Mom's favorites. So flowers.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
No.
okay.
At some point, you may want to sort of wonder why she's sitting down in front of ground with lights sockets into the sorry, with lights sort of screwed into the floor, but it's basically a wood frame with what do you call it? Electricity running through it, and with the wedding spread that they have. It's made with sand, colored sand, and they write different things on it. And this was what that was. So it's sort of like was the thing to do in their time.
Yeah.
But,
And who would do it?
would-
Family, a person?
no, it would be a professional, somebody that sort of you go and they do the a whole sort of wedding thing. So it would be probably somebody associated with the mosque or with the family of the bride.
Yeah.
That would sort of have artistic recollections, or it would be just traditional that you say, okay, my daughter is getting married, this is what I want, and they would set it up. And he would have to come in with dowry or, well, the alimony before they even start, and pay for food for the wedding. This is the the legal aspect of it. So when they get married, there is this two separate weddings at the time it was anyway. So you get married where people would see you. And you sit down and you read or onto each other. Somebody would sort of say, "Oh, is the bride willing to say yes?" Well, the bride isn't here. She's gone daisy picking. So it would be 3 times, and then they would say, "Oh, fine," just like if the adults allow. You're 18, 19 years old, so you'd be blushing bride type of thing. And then you would basically sort of hesitantly, shyly say yes. And then they would ask him, and he's like, so, and then that would be one set of ceremonies, and there'd be food and what have you by the bride's family. Then the introduction to the families and to the larger extent of the friends and sort of, I guess, aunts and uncles and whatever have you, who are not in the immediate circle, and the ones who are coming from away. Then there would be one big party that they would go to, and the groom pays for that. So it's maybe full. I don't know. But it certainly is a good deal. The dress uniform that he's wearing is black, which basically puts him as special ops. Very much against my grandfather's will. Special ops was where my grandfather ran into trouble for promotions. And she basically said yes, just to sort of, because how he looked, I guess. But I don't know what else. Maybe she knew I was going to be around, and that's why she said
that's
yes. I like to think so. Mom was the only genetic daughter of a family of 6 or 7 boys. Only 2 of them have survived since then. That makes her sense of humor quite special. I remember nobody else. You know how boys, it's okay, they can hear it. I can edit that because it's recording. You know, young boys, when they start growing up, there's things like nocturnal emissions. I told my mom, and my dad was very upset. So why didn't he come to me? It's my mom. So then dad gets involved and takes me out and tells me about birds and bees. But it wasn't much long after that that mom tells me my first dirty joke. So again, with a family of almost entirely boys, there was one other girl, there was one girl who was a family member by adoption, my auntie Malek. And she ended up getting married to somebody as well, and so she was part of our lives. Her sister was related to, her sister was married to my grandmother's brother. So bit of an age difference, but that woman, her name was Sarah. She ended up living in a nursing home for about 20 years and bedridden the entire time. So one of the things that Mom and I talked about a lot was how this woman was staying alive with nobody going to visit her, because by the time she died, Malak, my auntie, had stopped seeing her. She's like, because she was dead. But it was sort of like she had become this ball of white fur that basically was lying on the bed, and people would come and clean her and sort of give her water or whatever have you. And I said, she don't know why she doesn't die. She's hanging on for something. Anyway, we never really knew until she passed away back in 2007, 2009, something like that. At any rate, so when mom was taken to nursing home in March of 2024, that was the fear that she had foremost in her mind. That was the fear that she had foremost in her mind, that I don't want to be in a nursing home for 20 years and nobody coming to visit me. And I don't want to, and of course, with the Alzheimer's and the dementia-induced Alzheimer's, it was a real concern. So, just because of the relationship that mom and I had, we talk about everything. And so she'd ask me things, and maybe you can sort of help with this, with the recitation when it comes. This helps along a bit. About 7 years ago, she asked me, why is it that in Surat al-Qadr, which is one of the surahs, small surahs in Quran, God tells us that on the night of Qadr, the night of glory, that's when Quran was revealed to the Prophet. So God asks, what is that night? And then the way the surah is written, it's pronounced differently. It's mentioned 3 times. The first time that it's mentioned is Laylatul Qadr. And the next 2 times that it's mentioned, it's Laylatul Qadr. So mom challenged me. What does that mean? I don't know. Let me find out. And then read and sort of thought about it a long time. And about maybe 5 years ago, I told her that it's a living language. It's that night it was revealed. Or this night it was revealed, because you don't know when it is. And what is that night? That is the night that. And this might be a good sort of thing for you. She died on the night of Qadr in 2 hours. Which is quite amazing. I thought I couldn't sleep all night. I didn't know why, because my phone was dead and it wasn't charging at home. And until I arrived at work on Tuesday morning, I didn't know that she had passed at 9 p.m. the night before. So that's when sort of it's like connected. It's like message after message after message. Condolences. It's like, oh, he died. Read a bit, and it's like, mom was gone. It's like, well, now it makes sense why I couldn't go to sleep. So, that's what I have to tell you about her, really. Just like, there's other stories I can tell you, but for somebody who didn't like to wear hijab, for somebody who wasn't really a church goer, a mosque goer. She would go once in a while and sit down and participate in Khatm Quran, which basically is you take rounds and you sit down and you read a particular section, and somebody else reads a particular section, and you do it together in groups of 30 or more people, and that way it goes a lot faster and the thing is finished, because it's only 30 sections. But she participated in that in the local neighborhood. I don't know if she did that for very long. But she did it for a while. What else can I tell you about her? She's the only daughter. Well, except Auntie Malek. So she'd tell you stories, or she'd sort of get involved in telling poetry and what have you. She'd always be ready with some very, very interesting word changes for songs. You're familiar with Deo, daylight come and you want to go home. Well, there were a group of friends, this age, maybe about 2 years later or whatever. They would go to the night events of the officers' club. So they'd be drinking, smoking. There'd be, a lot of, which is something she didn't like, because Dad would smoke, so she would roll up $5 sort of bills, and she would light it. Why do you do that? It's like, well, you're doing it. So he stopped smoking. It's like, so one of the things she did during these night outings or what have you, and I've just seen pictures of her with one of her friends who is living in Toronto now. And their surname is Khalili. 6 pound, 7 pound, 8 pound bunches. Tally me bananas is the English version, but Khalili bananas. So it would be the kind of thing that the friends together would get together and talk about the husband of one of them, like Khalili bananas. So it's just sort of like, but she would sort of change words. There was a song when I was a kid. It was mostly to do with my lover went away and came back. And the love at the time, it's basically it's this flower. I can't remember the words to it, but or that tract basically means went away as a duck and come back as a goose. But it rhymed. So whenever there was some kind of poetry contest or whatever going on, because you just sit down and do rounds, sort of you start a poem and somebody else sets the theme by telling the story about the next set of poems, but it would be the last letter that you ended your poem with. So it just sort of like, continue on with that. Just like, or that craft Bazamad was one of the ones that she used with her grandchildren and got them really going, Mama. But well, she's gone now, so she's not going to mind me telling you stories that basically would be embarrassing to her. Anyway, conversation I had with my sister is like, well, she wouldn't like for you to have something in a Hosseini. So like, she's not here, is she? We had to do something, I thought. One sister is on a cruise that she couldn't get out of until, I guess, about 2 weeks from today, or maybe less. The other sister is basically in quarantine, can't get involved in public events until mid-May sometime. So, and because she went on Night of Glory and Laylat al-Qadr, her 7th, there are 4 dates that are important in Islam for Shia Muslims. there's the first night of grave, but people say prayers too, and what have you. There's the 7th. There's the 40th, and then there is 1-year anniversary of burial. Well, she died Monday. She was buried on Tuesday morning. The night of, I guess, fright is what would be the translation for it. She had my sister and brother-in-law and her grandchildren involved with that. So I wasn't involved. And there would have been, I mean, I did it here, but it's not the same thing when you're not right on top of the grave site and doing things. And because I couldn't go to Iran for the 40th, because the doors are closed at my sister's house, so I either stay at my brother-in-law's or at my nephew's or at a hotel. Okay, so I'm going to go for the anniversary, like I did for Dad, and that's what's going to happen. So next year in March, hopefully, if I'm alive, I'll go for a trip to Iran. And I don't know what else to tell you. I can tell you also some other stories, but she left after she had bathed and eaten, and she had clear conscience that if she has any unfinished business, I would be taking care of it. So she was concerned about charity. She was concerned about missed prayers. She was concerned about missed fasting, missed Ramazan. So I said, I'm ready for those. So if you want to let me. And this was about a week before she died. And a week later, she died on the night of glory, which I thought was very interesting. So, so two of the sort of things that we did talk about a lot was this concept of guilt and concept of propriety. It really is not just one concept, but there's a lot of them. So you have concepts of propriety. You're supposed to be this particular way, this particular way. I'm not a very good son because at my age, I don't own a house, I don't car. So I'm not a very good marriage prospect. And I've never been a good marriage prospect. So it's just sort of like, so Dad introduced, and Mom, I'm not sure, it's like in 1996 when I was in Iran, Dad introduced me to this woman's family, and she was happy. Her dad was happy. Okay, how do we organize this? Like, well, I have my sort of work to do for specialization in X-ray medicine. She was a doctor, or is a doctor still. So I need 1 more year. So I, well, okay, I have to finish my degree in neuroscience, and then I'd be ready as well. I have my own place. I came back to Canada, tried getting in touch, never got a response. Then I heard that she got married and she'd gone to California. And okay, I guess she was just leading me on so that to get me out of the way. In 2009, when Mom came to visit, 2009, 2010, when Mom came to visit, she sat as far away as maybe those cushions there while I'm washing dishes and said, oh, by the way, I went after you left Iran in 1996. I went to the family and told them that you don't deserve their daughter. So like, oh, I just, mystery solved. I know why she wasn't responding to anything, any overtures. Like, okay, it's like, and I don't know what she was expecting. Was she expecting for me to get upset and throw things around or what have you, but it's like, oh, now I understand why. It wasn't because of anything else or anything I did or didn't do. So the thing that's the thing. The thing that in later years, she kept saying that I didn't do anything for you to get you married off, to do things and that. It's like, well, I think you've done enough. I mean, it could have been that I would have been married and had kids and wouldn't have, it would be a different person standing in front of you. And one of the hardest things to talk with people who are insisting on propriety is for events that are formative, that make you the person whom you are. These events can be, I don't know, breaking your leg at the right time, or having a car accident at another time. But what they are actually formative events. And maybe it was a good thing, maybe it wasn't a bad thing. I wouldn't know unless I actually go back in time and to figure out what it would have meant to marry and have kids and whatever have you. And there's no point in being, I guess, upset or worried about what it would have looked like, which is something she taught me. She was very good about that sort of thing. If somebody swore at me and called my dad an asshole, and it was very likely for that to happen because he was Army in Special Services. So if they found out that it was in Special Services, that section was being blamed for a lot of things. So if they saw that, they would just assume that, you know, you're in his household, we're going to beat you instead of him, because we can't touch him. So, and I would come home angry, just shaking with anger that somebody called her or called him son of a bitch or her a whore. And she's like, calm down. Your mom and dad are made out of paper. You listen to what they say and you let it just wash off your back. In Farsi is maman babat kaghazi hasta. Maman baba, it's like you know the words. Kaghazi is paper. Just, you allow it to happen and just walk away. And she insisted for as long as I remember, not just back in the time I was growing up. Every time I saw her, every time we were together, she insisted for me to control outbursts of emotion against things that I had no reason or no reasonable expectation to be able to control, which wasn't what he could do. He would get upset, my dad, and he would throw things around and he sort of like break things and walk away, and like, I'm not going to put up with that with you. So you learn how to control it. And I think I work with some of you. So you might have an idea of how that has worked out eventually. But so towards the end, one of the conversations we had, well, no, I think they can hear me. Up to you. Okay. One of the things her and I talked about was, this is something I was telling David and Peggy. Growing up, there was there's a program that comes on during Ramadan that is a conversation between Moses and the Creator. The Creator says to Moses, this is poetry from Rumi. The creator says to Rumi, گر نداری تو دم خوش در دعا رو شفا میخواه زخبان صفا بهر این فرمود با موسی خدا که کلیم بحر وقت حاجت خواستن اندر دعا از زمن میتونن. Rough translation because to do justice to Rumi in short notice. Well, I mean, I've known about this day for ages, but when you want to ask for favors from me, God tells you, Moses, to ask me for favors, ask me for blessings. گفت موسی من ندارم فهم. Moses says, I don't have that kind of tongue. I can't say it. I don't know if you are familiar with the history of the Prophet Moses. Alayhi salam, he had difficulty speaking in full sentences. He would have a what is it called? He had لکنت زبان. Stutter, that's right. He used to stutter. And that was one of the reasons that Aaron was asked to be his co-prophet. So Moses says, Man nadoram. I don't have that kind of a mouth. گفت ما را از دهان غیر خوان با دهان غیر کی کردی تا کنم از دهان غیر برخوان کی اله. And then from my growing up, there's a whole sort of Quranic verses that comes after that at the end of the day when you're getting ready for the iftar, which is the meal at the end of your fast. So God tells Moses, it's like, well, don't call me by your mouth. Call me by the mouth of everybody else. With everybody else's mouths, you have never committed a sin. And that basically is one of the conversations that Mother and I had. Because she thought that the reason she couldn't die was that she had more luggage, more weight, more sins that was preventing her from dying. So I said, I recited a rap poem in a recording and had her nurse give it to her. And then we had that conversation about me taking over any kind of things that she had to have done. And when I told her that final bit, that I would do that, she just shook her head. A week later, her blood pressure drops after she has had, this is the 4th day of the new year. Family had been there to visit her. Her blood pressure drops. They take her to emergency. Not the proper place to do it. They send her off to the Army Hospital Emergency Department. And they stabilize the blood pressure, but the heart rate starts going up. And then they can't stabilize that. And blood pressure drops again, and she's got 2 hours. So I'm hoping, and I'm told by somebody who's a bit of a psychic, that she was light. She had nothing holding her down here. So I rather find that I could be it. If you could introduce yourself and sure. Great stuff. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sure.
Michael. Hi, brother. Very happy. And Brother Shah, please accept our condolences. We express our deep condolences and sympathy to you for this loss. This is a sad moment and you definitely lost somebody who is irreplaceable for sure. And what we as community members and friends and neighbors can do is just to show our sympathy, nothing else, and pray, of course. We as Muslims have a number of traditions when we come to show our sympathy. One is to usually have a little bit of contemplation and reflection about the fact, which we think that could be a good reminder to all of us that this is a journey that is shared and is a shared destiny for all of us. Sometimes we are immersed with something so much so that because of the abundance of that thing, we may not really realize that this is really around us, and death is actually one of them. We probably have seen it so much and so many times that at some point we may really forget that this is a shared destiny. We're all heading to that destiny. And in Quran Kareem, in our holy book, we have a verse that we all belong to Allah and belong to God, and we all will and shall return to Him. So every once in a while that we see a friend, a neighbor, a relative, a family member, somebody passes away, it might be a good reminder to us that, hey, listen, you are not going to stay here forever. And end of story in this world is death for all of us. And hereafter, of course, we believe that the life is going to continue and go on. So all in all, the lesson that we can take from a death of a friend and family member or anyone around us is that, hey, this is going to happen for you as well. So in your capacity, try to be a good person. Try to do your best whatsoever you can and you could. Be a good member of your society. Be a good person to other people. Do not be a burden to others. And always try to absorb and attract the mercy and compassion of God. And we believe that will happen in many ways, but the most important one is to be a compassionate and merciful person to others. So show your mercy to others, and God will show His mercy to you. So it has very profound and deep lessons for us. And as I said, in these moments, we actually realize how powerless and weak we are. We do not have control on many things. Although sometimes we may think, oh, we have control of everything. We may feel too proud of ourselves, of our knowledge. But at the end of the day, this is a shared destiny, same story for everybody. And as I said, we Muslims, as a tradition, another thing that we do is reading some chapters and parts of our holy book for several reasons. Once, if we go through the meaning of those verses and chapters, again, that would be another deep lesson. Second, we believe that reading and going through those chapters of our holy book would be something rewarded by God. And we simply give that reward to the soul of the past one. And we believe that the connection is not lost. It is just going to be in a different form. And the soul of the past one will receive it. Will receive it and will acknowledge that. And obviously, one of the things that somebody may leave behind is their family, their children. And what a good children those could be if they try to do good things, do good deeds, be a righteous person, and as I said, give the reward of those good deeds to the soul of their beloved ones, of their past beloved ones. So all in all, I will recite some verses of one of the chapters of our holy book for you, my brothers, my friends, and my sisters. And as I said, we will give the reward to the soul of the past one. It is one chapter of holy book, which is called Ar-Rahman. The meaning of it is the merciful. It has several verses. In that specific chapter of Quran that starts with one of the attributes of God, which is Ar-Rahman, the same thing as the name of the surah, the merciful. And it goes through different blessings and bounties that God has provided for human beings. And in that one, specifically, one verse has been repeated many, many times, 27 times or so in that chapter. And that is, which one of the blessing of your Lord are you able to deny? It reminds you of this and that and this and that. And says, are you able to deny any of them? Are you able to forget any of them or be independent of any of them? So this is basically the meaning of that chapter of Quran, of our holy book. And as I said, it's a tradition that this chapter is usually read and recited in the memorial ceremony when people come together, gather together to show their condolences. So we follow that tradition, and I will read and recite that chapter of Quran for you, my brothers and sisters. And I hope if you can follow it and know the meaning of it, you would enjoy it. If not, I hope you would enjoy the melody and beauty of the words. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يرسل عليكما شوار من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم فيؤخذ بالنواصي والأقدام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ولمن خاف مقام ربه جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ذواتا أفنان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما من كل فاكهة زوجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على فرش بطائنها من استبرق وجنى الجنتين دان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن قاصرات الطرف لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كأنهن الياقوت والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ومن دونهما جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مدهامتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان نضاختان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن خيرات حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان حور مقصورات في الخيام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على رفرف خضر وعبقري حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام صدق الله العلي العظيم So you probably noticed that one verse was repeated several times, and that was the one that I said, which one of the blessing of your Lord are you able to deny? And the beauty of it is that the blessing of Allah, the blessing of God sometimes might be sweet and sometimes might be bitter. And it's on us as a faithful person and a deep believer to maintain that connection with the Creator always. And whatsoever happens in life that might be the hardest one and the most difficult one could be losing a beloved one. Remember that everything, including the birth and the death of every single creature, is under the control of Allah. And the life would have been really meaningless if it was meant to be just that limited period. This is not the end of it. Our souls are not going to be gone forever. It is just a transformation from one world to another. And gathering like this, although we do have our deep condolences, is a good lesson to remind us about the fact. And maybe out of that lesson, we can do better. We can try to do better. And we have another verse in Quran Kareem in this book, which says, people are aware about their actions and their deeds and their intentions. Sometimes they may pretend that I don't know, I didn't know, but they do know. Most of the time, it's obvious for us, the choice between good and bad. It's on us. Sometimes picking the right one, selecting the right path could be the difficult choice. But maybe the energy, the spiritual energy that we get through gatherings like this would help us to select the right path, to stay in the right side, to do better. In one word, to be a better person, good person, to be better towards other people. We have a beautiful poetry in Persian that I'm going to read the translation of that for you, my friends. That says, human beings are members of a whole in creation of one essence and soul. If one member is inflicted by pain, other members uneasy will remain. If you have no sympathy for human pain, the name of human you cannot retain. So obvious. You want to be a good person, you want to fulfill your duty, just try to be useful and kind and merciful and compassionate to others. That could be the simple thing. And those others could be your immediate family members, your neighbors, your community members, your society members, people in the same city, same neighborhood, same country, and after all, ultimately, everyone on the planet. Not even people, creatures, animals, plants, everything. You just do your best wherever you can, however you can, and whenever you're really confused, rare moments, just rely on God. Oh God, my intention is to be the best one. I have no idea which one is the best to choose. What direction is the right one for me to go? You just help me. I rely on you. And I am sure, I have the faith that sometime, I may not know the time, I may not know how, your help will come and I'll find out. So one more time, Brother Shahab, please accept our condolences. May Allah May God bless the soul of your mother, and I hope we will be proud of you. The things that your mother, your father could be proud of you is not through gathering wealth, having children or not. We have a verse in Quran that says, Al-Mali wal-Banun zinatul hayati dunya. Prosperity in life, not a bad thing, but all belong to this life. All belong to this life. What really matters in the eyes of God is righteousness and virtue. I want to simplify that. The most straightforward example of being righteousness is being kind to others and useful to the society. If you're a good person, if you're not doing any harm to others, then they will be proud of you. Doesn't matter. So, because imagine somebody just like a billionaire or somebody like homeless, at the end, when they are put in the grave, they are equal. In our tradition, they're just covered by a piece of cloth, and that's it. No other single item will be added to the grave. So what they can really take to the other side is their actions, and even more important than that, their intentions. So if you have a good intention, you should be proud of yourself, and you should be thankful to Allah, and your mother will be proud of you. Thank you very much. And again, please accept our condolences. Thank you.
I don't know what to follow with that. Just think about what this, thank you. The man has got a nice voice.
Yes.
I was gonna say,
You can sing for us.
Hmm?
You can sing for us.
No, you don't want me to sing for you. There's a story by Rumi from what I believe it's Kilileva Damine. It's the sort of story of four pack animals. The story of four pack animals go on a trip together. So it's the donkey, it's the horse, the elephant, and the camel. So they keep going. So, and they say things to each other. And Rumi talks about what these animals say to each other. The donkey says at the end of each day's journey, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" And the elephant asks, "Is there going to be food?" The horse says, "Let's just get going already." The camel says, "Well, if we don't get there today, we'll get tomorrow. We'll get there, we'll arrive there tomorrow." The moral of the story is that whether if it happens today, or if it happens tomorrow, or 100 years from now, because everybody knows it's only the first 100 years of life, which is really hard. So the moral of the story is that the camel is the one that you want to be traveling with, because he's the one who's got the stamina and the strength to carry to the next section of the journey, next section of the energetic experience that you feel you're going through. And it was one of the things that Mom quite pragmatically would always say about her death. It's a camel that they have tied up at every doorstep. You can't avoid getting on that camel. You'll get on, whether if you want to or not, but it's a camel that's going to take you there. Let's hope that we get along with the camel and not get dragged. Not sitting on it, but sort of by the foot. Because it's always good to have a good steed to get where you're going. and something that can actually carry you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You have honored me, and it's an honor that you have given my mother as well, by your presence and by your patience through all of this. Hopefully, you'd have the equanimity to deal with similar problems in your own lives. Not saying they're not going to happen. They will. Not saying that you're supposed to avoid them. You can't. When it comes to my own end, I hope to be able to be just like my mother was. Comfortable in knowing that somebody is stepping forward and doing something. Take some stuff with me in my actions. You know, I can't say my prayers, give money to somebody to do it. I can't do my fasting for Ramadan because I'm sick or because of whatever. Donate some money, get somebody else to do it. There are enough people in the world who need the money, who need the help to do that kind of thing. And they're quite willing to go to Hajj, to go to various sort of religious things that they feel obligations to do themselves, but don't have the money for it. So you organize it for them to do it, and they'll do it. So I hope to be able to do at least some of that as I grow older, less capable probably, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Shabbat.
Thank you.
Almost to-
I hope so. I'm gonna stop the Zoom so that and end meeting